Bonjour à tous. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Learn French with Madame. Today, we're going to talk about telling time in French. So as you can see, I've got my paper set up with a bunch of circles on it. Today, we're going to talk about how to say it is a certain time and asking what time is it. And then we're going to talk about how to tell time on a clock and how to say that in French. All right, so the first thing that I want to do up at the top of our paper is write out what time is it and write it is and then the actual time. So on the left-hand side over here, I'm going to write out quelle heure est-il? So quelle heure est-il is our question. And that just means what time is it? So we're asking what time is it? All right, so go ahead and say that one with me. We're going to say the first two words and then the last two words. Okay, first two words are quelle heure, and then the last two, est-il. Excellent. So all together, it is quelle heure est-il. Excellent. All right, now on the right-hand side of our paper, we're going to write out how to say it is and then the time. So to say it is and then the time, we say il est. Then we leave a blank and we put our number here. Then And then if we have any minutes, the minutes go at the end. So I'm going to put min for minutes. So you've got quelle heure est-il and il est, the number, and then And if we have any minutes, we're putting it at the end after All right? So now let's start with our first clock right here. We're going to number this like a normal clock, like you would see any old clock. So we're going to start off, I'm going to number it on the inside and then the outside. So the inside, we start off with our clock is 12. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So now, once we've got our clock, we can kind of divide this in half. So I'm going to divide it in half and then again in half. So I've got 4 quarters of my clock. All right, so this is quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and then quarter 4. And that's going to come in handy later on. Now, I'm going to number my clock continuing past 12. So most of the time, France runs off of military time, or it's called official time. So any bus schedules or train schedules, plane tickets, jobs will all run off of 24-hour time. It can seem kind of daunting, but it's really not. It's just a lot of adding. So we've got our normal clock. So we've got 1 through 12, and then we're just going to keep going. So once we get to 12 again, we're going to go 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and then 24. So I'm going to write a little key on the left-hand side here for you. So we've got AM is on the inside, and then we've got PM is on the outside. So I'll write those in the different colors so you guys can tell. So we've got AM and then PM. All right, so now I have 2 other clocks, so let's talk about those 2 clocks. So the middle clock, I want to talk about when you are adding minutes, right? So if I wanted to say it is 4:10, I would say il est 4 heures, and then I put my number 10. So I'd say il est 4:10. So on the left-hand side, when we divided our clock, right? Remember, we divided it in half. So this whole left-hand side, everything that's shaded in here, we're going to add our hour to our minutes or our minutes to our hours. So we're going to write out an example. So the first example I'm going to say, well, let's first write out some key factors. So we're going to add hours plus minutes. So we add our hour plus our minutes. So for example, if I wanted to say it is, let's do a different example. Let's say it's 10:20 in the morning. It's 10:20 in the morning. So we're going to say it's 10:20 a.m. To write this out, we need to say il est. That's our first thing we need to write out, il est. So we're going to say il est. Now we need our number, our hour. So we're going to say 10. Then we need Now we need our minutes. So now we're going to take 20 and just put that in French. So il est 10:20. And then we're done. All right, now let's talk about the second half of our clock. The second half of our clock. So I'm going to divide our clock in half again. And we're going to talk about this right or left-hand side here. Everything that's shaded in there. So that left-hand side, we're going to subtract until the next hour. And I'll talk what I mean about that. So by subtracting, I mean we're going to go to the next hour and then minus. And we'll do an example. So we're going to take our hour minus minutes. And it's important to know, this is super important, you subtract from the next hour. You subtract from the next hour, okay? So let's do an example. So if I wanted to say it was 8:50. So if I wanted to say it's 8:50, it can be AM or PM, it doesn't matter. So it's 8:50. We're going to go to the next hour, which is 9 o'clock, then minus our 10. So let's write that out. So we're going to first say il est. That's what we need first. So we're saying il est. Now we need to go to the next hour because we need to minus 10 minutes. So we're going to go to the next hour. So we're going to go 9. So il est 9h. Now we need the word for minus. We're going to say moins. That's our key word. And then 10. Because if we add 10 to 8:50, we get 9 o'clock. So il est 9h moins 10. All right. Now, when you're not talking about something that's simple like minus 10, you wanted to say maybe it's half past something or it's a quarter till something, et cetera, et cetera. That's where our quarter of the clock comes into play. So I'm going to slide my paper up just a tad bit so you can see I have 3 more clocks drawn. And let's talk about quarter till, half past, and quarter past. So I'm going to divide my clock again into those 4 quarters. All right. So now I want to say it is a quarter till something. So remember we had 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, and 4 quarters. So when something is a quarter till something, if you don't know how to tell time in English, this is really helpful. So when it's a quarter till something, we're talking about this quarter of our clock right here. We're talking about this quarter right here. So when it is a quarter till something, this quarter is what's missing. So this is quarter till. And this would be equivalent to like 45, like 2:45, 3:45, et cetera, et cetera. So this is on the 45-minute mark or 9 when you're looking at a clock. All right. So now we need to take that same concept that we applied up here where we went to the next hour and then we subtracted, but there's a specific way to say minus a quarter. So for example, we're going to say it's 4:45. So I want to say it's 4:45. So with 4:45, we need to go to the next hour. So just like we did up here, go to the next hour. So that's 5 o'clock. So we need to say il est. And now we need 5. So 5. Next, we need hours, so Now we need our minus a quarter. And to say minus a quarter, we're going to say moins le quart. Moins le quart. So we're going to say il est 5 heures moins le quart. Il est 5 heures moins le quart. And moins le quart is our minus a quarter. All right, so I'm going to put a little star over here. We've got moins le quart. That's our super important word for that. Moins le quart. All right, now let's talk about when you're saying it's 4:30. So we're going to, again, divide our clock in half. And so we've got 30 minutes on this side and 30 minutes on this side. Because remember, each quarter is 15 minutes. Each quarter is 15 minutes. So 2 quarters is 30 minutes. So this is half past. When it's half past something, means half of it is gone. So half past is equivalent to that 30. When you say 2:30, 4:30, etc., etc. And our key word here is a demi. A demi. Like think of like a demi, like when you have something that's demi, it's in half. So let's do an example with this one. Let's say it's 1:30. So we're going to say it's 1:30. We have to first start off with il est. So we're going to say il est. Now we need one. Une, and it's feminine because is feminine. So il est une heure. And now we're going to tack on a demi at the very end. So il est une heure et demie. And then we're done. And our a demi is our key word there. All right, we are almost done. The next part is a quarter past. Quarter past. So this means that a quarter of your clock has already gone. So when somebody says, oh, it's a 7:15, now you'll be able to tell that it's 7:15. So quarter past, we're going to divide our clock into quarters again. All right, so we've got our first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. It's also, if you're a big football fan, you could think of it like that too. All right, so we've got our quarters, and this means that it's after that hour. So after that hour. So to say it's a quarter past, we're going to take pretty much the same concept as moins le quart with a quarter till, but instead of minus, we're going to just keep this quarter part. So quarter past is a quart. A quart. All right, and that is our key phrase for this one, a quart. So if I wanted to say it's 7:15, so if I'm going to do my example, it's 7:15. I need my il est first. So we're going to say il est. Now we need our number, set, hours, and now we need our quarter. So we're talking about this half. This is how much we've already gone through. Il est 7 heures. Now we need a quart. We're just going to tack it down to the end. Il est 7 heures et quart. Il est 7 heures et quart. And our a quart is our keyword for that one. Okay, so quick recap before we end this video. Main part is that 24-hour time is used officially, but we'll talk about that later on more too. I'm just concerned about you recognizing it when you see like it is il est 21 heures, when you see it's 2100 hours, that you know that it's not 2100, it's actually 9 o'clock p.m. We talked about how when you're on the right-hand side of the clock, you're adding your hours and your minutes. Remember, it's 10:20, il est 10:20, and your minutes always go at the end. We talked about the left-hand side of the clock being minus. So you're going to minus those minutes from the next hour. So our example was 8:50. So we went to 9 o'clock and then we subtracted 10. Il est 9 heures moins 10. Then we talked about how to say it's a quarter till, half past, and a quarter past. So quarter till being in the future, you have 15 minutes until the next hour. And to say next hour, until the next hour, remember we have to go to that next hour and then subtract a quarter. So the example we did was 4:45. So we said il est 5 heures, because we've got to go ahead, moins le quart, minus our 15 minutes. Next, we talked about half past. So think of you're cutting your clock in half, and we have a demi for half past to say that it's 30 minutes. Quarter past is meaning you've already gone a quarter of that clock in your hour. So il est 7 heures et quart, and that et quart is our 15 minutes after. Hopefully this helps you with telling time. We're going to talk about time a lot too in the next coming weeks and days, but hopefully this helps at least a little bit clear up some confusion that you might have had. Si vous avez des questions, if you have any questions, envoyez-moi un email. Mais c'est tout et à plus.